I don't recall ever speaking to any one of the January 6th committee. What you asked me, though, is have I ever met someone? I am a public official. I meet people all over this country all the time. Shake hands, take pictures, kiss babies, all the things elected officials do. So I have no idea if I've ever met someone that may have been part of the January 6th committee.
And what is J6? Is that where they stormed the Capitol
And killed a police officer?
Killed a police officer.
Fulton County, Georgia is under scrutiny after some early 2020 election votes were found unsigned by poll workers. On X, commentators alleged voting fraud following a December 9th Georgia State Election Board hearing. Ann Brumbaugh, attorney for the Fulton County Board of Registrations and Elections, confirmed some counted ballots lacked required signatures. Vote tabulation tapes are signed to verify accuracy before being transported and used for audits. However, there is no evidence that the unsigned ballots were illegitimate. Some observers noted this was a procedural lapse. A hand recount and audit at the time confirmed Joe Biden won Georgia in 2020. President Donald Trump and his supporters have repeatedly asserted that the 2020 election was stolen, and that Joe Biden did not legitimately win Georgia and other states, although they didn't have proof. These statements are likely to reignite debates and deepen mistrust over election integrity, despite there being no evidence that Biden's victory in Georgia in 2020 was invalid. At the Georgia State Election Board hearing, Ann Brumbaugh said she did not dispute that the tapes were not signed and called it a violation of the rule. She added that new procedures and training have been implemented to prevent it from happening again. Following the circulation of Brumbaugh's comments on social media, Tesla CEO Elon Musk posted on X, "Massive voting fraud uncovered." Conservative commentator Gunther Eagleman wrote, "Huge win for transparency." Internet personality Mario Nawfal added, "This isn't about Trump. It's about the fact that Republicans screamed fraud for years and were told to sit down." Georgia attorney Andrew Fleischman disputed Brumbaugh's claim, saying, "Every single Fulton County vote was audited." This follows the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division filing a lawsuit this month seeking access to 2020 election records in Fulton County, including ballots, stubs, and signature envelopes. It also comes after a Georgia judge dismissed a case accusing Trump of interfering in the state's 2020 election. Fulton County DA Fani Willis testified before a Georgia Senate committee on December 17th regarding her prosecution of Trump in the election interference case. She defended her office's case against President Trump regarding alleged attempts to subvert the 2020 election. The panel examined her conduct, including her past ties to the special prosecutor she hired. Willis defended pursuing charges, rejecting claims that the inquiry was politically motivated. She described the investigation as a lawful effort to hold Trump accountable for attempts to overturn Georgia's 2020 election results. Watch the heated altercation.
Refer your attention to the screen. Ma'am, have you seen this letter before?
It's got my signature on it.
Do you have seen this letter before?
Yes, that's how it got signed.
You sent this letter on December 17th, 2021, requesting access to documents to from the January 6th committee, Chairman Mr. Representative Thompson. Is that correct?
I did.
Okay. Did you or anyone in your office receive help in your investigation from the January 6th Commission?
Do you want me?
What do you mean by help?
Did they send you documents?
Well, they're public documents now.
Did they send you any documents that were not public? That were not public at the time?
None that I can recall. None that I can recall.
In the letter, you offer to meet them in person. Did they take you up on the offer to meet in person?
I've never met Thompson.
Have you ever met anyone that was doing work with the January 6th Commission?
Not to my knowledge. I may have met them and not known they were doing that work.
Mr. Wade traveled to D.C. with members of your staff, is that correct?
That is correct.
And Mr. Wade billed for conference calls with the January 6th committee, is that correct?
I haven't looked at the bills.
What difference does that make?
On the left side of the screen here, and I apologize, the camera's in your way, there's a screen over here.
You'll have to remember the criminals that I
Easier to see.
indicted, they had committed crimes all over the country. And so as a result, as a prosecutor, if you know that a criminal has done crimes in this state and other states, it would almost not be due diligence to try to get information from them. Here goes some more legislation you can take up. There is a process called TUI with the federal government where state prosecutors try to get information from federal prosecutors. They are not very helpful.
On this bill, on the left-hand side, the first red
I haven't
highlight.
seen the bill, so you remember?
That's why I'm showing it to you, Madam DA. It says team meeting, conference with January 6th, research legal issues to prep, and then it ends with V. He testified, and the testimony's on the right side of the screen, that meant interview. And then the second one is travel out of state, interview and research, which was from April 27th until April 29th. Are you aware of a trip that Mr. Wade took out of state that your office paid for in April of 2022?
Yes.
What was the purpose of the trip?
I don't recall.
Okay.
I'm sure to get information on some of the criminals I ended up indicting.
This slide here shows essentially a reimbursement request on the right-hand side for Mr. Wade at the Hyatt Place Hotel. And on the left-hand side, this is an invoice for the Hyatt Place Hotel during the time period I referenced earlier for Mr. Michael Hill. Do you know who Michael Hill is?
He was an assistant chief when he left my office. He's an investigator, though, a sworn law enforcement officer.
And he was on your staff during April of 2022? You said when he left your office. When did he leave the office?
I don't remember. But yes. Yes to the first question. He was on my staff at that time. I don't remember, to the second question of when did he leave. Not long ago, he got a higher title at another office.
Do you know who else from your office attended this trip?
I can't recall. You can refresh my recollection if you like.
This is an invoice for the same hotel and the same dates from Mr. Francis. I assume it's Mr. Wakeford. Is that someone that worked in your staff?
An amazing attorney.
What was his role?
He's an attorney.
What did he do what work did he do within your department, your team?
He does all types of work, but he is what I would consider to be an appellate lawyer.
Did he do work on the elections interference case?
Absolutely.
What work did he do on the election interference case?
He did a lot of excellent writing.
This slide here is for Mr. John Wooten, same hotel, same dates, same trip to D.C. Do you know John Wooten
He works for me.
currently?
Yes.
What was his role in April of 2022?
A lawyer, works for my office, does a lot of white-collar crime for me.
Did work on the election interference case?
Yep.
Okay. So is it safe to assume from both the testimony I had on the screen, your letter, and Mr. Wade's invoices that reference January 6th, is it safe to assume that Mr. Wade and other members of your staff went to D.C. in furtherance of your investigation of the 2022 election, or sorry, 2020 election?
I'm not going to make assumptions under oath.
You are unaware of whether or not members of your staff, 4 of them that we have here so far, or 3 and 1 independent contractor, you're unaware as to whether or not the purpose of their D.C. trip was to meet with the January 6th committee or members of the January 6th committee or lawyers working for the J6 committee.
I know that they went to D.C., and I know it was in reference to this investigation. I do not recall who they spoke with, but you all have tried to make this some nefarious thing that lawyers would try to investigate and find out information about people who came to Georgia and committed crimes. And instead of being honorable and trying to defend those people that you take an oath to serve, we're here with this foolishness.
Do you know how many trips Mr. Wade took to D.C.?
In his life?
As it relates to the J6 committee or the 2020 elections interference case?
I believe one, but I don't know. It's speculation.
Well, it wouldn't be speculation if he had told you about it. Did he tell you about any other trips that he took?
But what you have to remember is it is whatever day it is in December of 2025, and I'm an office that prosecutes 64,000 people, and I know you are somewhat offended that I had the audacity to prosecute, these folks that came into my county and committed crimes, but this wasn't special to me. This was another day of business.
On the screen is another invoice from Mr. Wade. The highlighted section, I'll just read it out loud, says January 6th meeting and ATTY conf. That's from November 16th of 2022. And then there's a second entry immediately below that, interview with DC/White House, November 18, 2022. Have you seen this bill?
No.
Are you aware of phone calls or conferences that Mr. Wade either attended or was a part in that relates to the J6 committee or the election interference case, working with the J6 committee that is separate from the April trip that we just discussed?
We didn't do much work with a J6 committee, so I've never seen this bill before. And I believe the only thing that we called the White House about was, did we have to go through the TUI process with that White House like we have to do with the Department of Justice? That's my recollection. That could be right or wrong, but we were trying to speak to people in the Trump administration, the first one. So I don't believe we had a lot of contact with the White House, so I'm not aware.
You said you were trying to speak with people that were part of the first Trump administration in these travels to D.C., or are you just saying that more generally?
More generally.
Okay. And just to clarify, I want to make sure that I have the record correct here. You're unaware of who Mr. Wade
I can't
and the
recall
others
those
met
levels of
with?
details. I know you want to take me back to 1948, where an African-American prosecutor can only prosecute certain types of people, but I prosecute and stand up for all victims that come into my circuit.
When was the special purpose grand jury impaneled?
I don't remember the date, but that's an interesting point. 2 grand juries said these people did these crimes.
The date that I have
And the
is
grand jury was made up of independents, Democrats, Republicans. 2.
the date that I have is January 24th of 2022. Does that seem like it's within the range of being the correct date?
So I already stated I don't trust you. I understand you're trying to run for lieutenant governor right now. Anything you want me to testify to, I'm going to need to see.
Okay. Were you aware that in between the time of the special grand jury being sworn in and receiving evidence, Mr. Wade traveled to Athens, Georgia to meet with officials from the White House counsel's office?
I don't recall.
On the right-hand side here is the meeting that I reference. The highlighted section reads, travel to Athens, conf with White House
How does this
counsel.
assist you in developing laws for Georgia? Because I believe the purpose that I'm here for is because you all need assistance in doing your job, and you want assistance with rules and regulations around how people should be a prosecutor. And it made sense to me that you'd come to the best prosecutor in the state to ask for some advice. But I'm confused as to how this assists you and what the purpose of me being here is.
The committee has a broad purpose. I'd be happy to refer to counsel as to the overall purpose of the committee. But my question for you is, as it relates
I
to
don't
this
think it's
travel-
relevant, so I'm objecting on relevance.
She's asked and answered that. She's told you that the TUI process goes through the White House counsel's office. She's asked, it's been asked and answered.
And it's your testimony today that the travel to Athens, conference with the White House counsel, as far as you were aware, was due to a part of this TUI process that the governor's referencing.
I've testified, I don't recall anything about this,
Okay.
and I don't see how it's relevant to what your alleged purpose is. Now, your real purpose is to try to get elected, which I would say, Georgia, please, let's elect any lieutenant governor but this one.
We'll get to your work trying to elect lieutenant governors in a second, Madam DA, but for now we're talking about the
I've done no work with an elected governor, but if I will do some work with this. I see that Counselor left you
contract.
alone today.
I'm not
And
going-
he is running to be Attorney General of this state.
Madam DA,
And
we're
he
gonna
is
answer
not
the question.
qualified to be such. By record, by this document where he put up a false document trying to prove that I met with the Vice President, that shows you he does not have ethics. But there is
Madam-
somebody running for Attorney General that has been a state prosecutor, a federal prosecutor, a civil rights attorney, and a state's legislature. So if people want to vote for people that are ethical and actually have the experience to do the job, I'd say go donate now to Tanya Miller.
Madam DA, I've asked you about Mr. Wade. Did you speak with anyone that had worked with the January 6th committee or was a lawyer for the J6 committee?
That's been asked and answered. She said she'd never done it herself. That's what she testified.
Did you communicate with members of the J6 committee through any intermediaries that relayed messages back and forth on your behalf?
I don't recall ever speaking to any one of the January 6th committee. What you asked me, though, is have I ever met someone? I am a public official. I meet people all over this country all the time. Shake hands, take pictures, kiss babies, all the things elected officials do. So I have no idea if I've ever met someone that may have been part of the January 6th committee.
And what is J6? Is that where they stormed the Capitol?
And killed a police officer?
Killed a police officer? Is that the same committee we're talking about? So that it's clear on the record.
The ones that have been exonerated, we say that we stand with law enforcement but don't care when police officers get killed.
Then trying
We're going to continue on to the next question. Governor, you are here to advise your counsel. You're not here to pontificate. Absolutely.
It is absolutely irrelevant, everything that you're trying to say.
How does this help you for loss? Yes, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Governor.
If you've got something to ask, ask it, but don't go into, well, there must have been a conspiracy here when they went up and looked into the folks that broke into the Capitol in shamu suits or whatever that was, and put the Vice President of the United States out saying, hang Mike Pence, and that they were prosecuted and then pardoned by President Trump, and you're trying to say and infer that it was illegal, immoral to investigate that it was part of a pending case. So
We're asking questions relative to the investigation, Governor. We're going to move on to the next question.
You're trying to infer some wrongdoing where none exists. Ask the question, let's move on.
Thank you for
Also to divide this country, and it should be noted that there
we're
were
gonna move on to the
many
next
great
question.
honorable Republicans that brought this case to me because they knew what happened was wrong. One of them is Duncan, who's now running for governor.
So you have your endorsement.
I didn't endorse him,
Wait just a minute, don't answer that question.
So
but I do
Probably
think it should be
last
noted that although you are trying to divide this country, that this country is not divided. Most people in this country are trying to do the right thing every day as they get up for work. Most people know when someone is murdered and victimized, you don't act as a depraved human being and tease them and their family in their greatest time of loss. Most people.